Look at Greenland.
Okay.
Now look at Africa.
Okay.
The two land masses appear to be roughly the same size.
Yes.
Would it blow your mind if I told you that Africa is in reality 14 times larger?
Sometimes, the things we are sure about or believe to be true are not actually as they seem. One of these things is world maps. You know maps. They appear in dozens of different designs. They have been drawn in various ways by hundreds of people. However, none of them are completely accurate, and none of them are very successful in showing the actual sizes of countries. Especially this particular map, which you have seen the most, is entirely filled with errors. According to many people, they are not changing it despite knowing this. And behind this lies a truth that you probably wouldn't want to believe. This type of map, which emerged in the 1500s, may seem like an innocent mistake caused by technical limitations. However, it is actually a major tool of propaganda. This is because, in later years, new maps created with accurate measurements were not accepted, and the map with entirely incorrect proportions continued to be used. But why? Humanity, which embraces every scientific development, why has it continued to adhere to a primitive and technically flawed measurement like the Mercator projection? In fact, it is still used even today. The reason behind this is actually rooted in major discrimination, perhaps even racism. The person who created this map is Gerardus Mercator, a mathematician who lived in the 1550s. The reason this map is called the Mercator projection is because it was transferred onto a flat surface. The term projection literally means casting a shadow. In summary, it is the process of transferring the globe-shaped world map onto a flat surface. This is the world map he drew in 1569. He created this map using the projection method for sailors traveling in the North Sea. Many sailors used this map in their explorations. Scottish astronomer James Gall discovered in the 19th century that South America was actually 5 times larger than Greenland. At the time, this was not taken seriously. However, a century later, German scientist Arno Peters examined all known maps. When he looked at them, he could hardly believe his eyes, as he saw that most of the maps were nothing but a massive lie. This is the modern version of the Mercator projection, and it is still used in schools today. This is also the projection used by Google Maps. These two maps you see are actually completely incorrect, and the errors Peters discovered were quite significant. In 1974, Peters shared his findings with the world, revealing that the true world map should not be like the Mercator projection, but rather should look like this. The Peters-Gall projection, developed by Peters, has been recognized by the scientific community as the most accurate map of the world. A total of 80 million copies of Peters' maps were printed for global distribution. However, these maps were never adopted by schools, institutions, or supported by the media. Meanwhile, Mercator projection maps are still being passed down from generation to generation as the face of the world today. The situation, which could be considered a conspiracy theory or even a perception operation, is that despite the map's obvious flaws, it has been widely promoted as the correct world map. So, why wasn't Peters' map adopted? And as we mentioned at the beginning, why is the Mercator projection, often even interpreted as a form of racism, still in use today, albeit with minor modifications? The truth is, the rejection of accurate maps is entirely due to the fact that they do not align with the interests of certain states. For example, in today's inaccurate map, Canada appears as a massive country north of the United States, whereas in the correctly drawn map, it looks like a much smaller country compressed in the north. And in reality, this is the correct depiction. Additionally, Russia, the United Kingdom, Europe, and the Baltic countries are all much smaller than they appear on the Mercator map. This creates an identity crisis too big for these regions to accept, which happen to be those outside their own regions. At this point, the Mercator map deliberately made regions like Africa and South America, where the majority population is black, appear much smaller than they actually are. Is this discrimination or racism? Call it what you will.
For every public school in America to teach geography using the Peters projection map instead of the traditional Mercator.
Why are we changing maps?
Because, CJ, the Mercator projection has fostered European imperialist attitudes for centuries and created an ethnic bias against the Third World.
Really?
So, Is there a completely accurate version of this map? Most modern maps have been designed in various ways to represent the most accurate proportions of land masses. Some are rectangular, some are square, some are large, and some are small. However, one map has been identified as the closest to the truth: the Winkel-Tripel projection. Although it is one of the most accurate maps, even this does not entirely reflect the actual proportions of the world's regions. But perhaps a familiar map could help us. Even though it does not depict the entire world, the Piri-Reis map, drawn centuries ago, astonishingly has the least distortion and the closest resemblance to perfection. However, what makes this map special is not just its accuracy. It also contains incredible mysteries within it.